Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think resentment's paying rent in this house. You folded towels, wrong. You loaded the dishwasher, wrong. You breathed a little too loud, believe it or not, wrong. Little hurts become big fights, cold shoulders, long, long nights. Keeping score won't get us far. Jesus heals the broken heart. So if you've ever thought, why's everything they do annoy me? Pull up a chair, we've all been there, and God's not finished with your story. Maybe it's not the dishes, maybe it's not the laundry, maybe it's years of hurt disguised as dirty socks. So before you start another argument or write a mental list of everything your spouse did wrong since 2018, let's talk about it. Welcome to Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, with Pastor Brian and Kathleen, where we tackle real marriage, share a few laughs, and let God's word do the heavy lifting.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. You know what movie that's from?
The Truman Show.
Wow. See, this is why I married this woman. I mean, how much better can it get than that? So it's been a long, exhausting week. This week was VBS at church. Today,
Still going on.
We missed tonight. We had a funeral to go to today, and then just a whole bunch of family plans. We just didn't get home till late. So unfortunately, we didn't make it to VBS tonight. It's been a kind of a crazy week. So,
Okay,
do you want to tell the story?
Yeah, well, you could tell it, but I was just going to say.
I wasn't even there for it.
Well, I know you weren't there for it.
I was outside.
Okay, so there, Brian, we were both there for VBS.
Yes.
Brian's role is a little bit different than my role. He gets to do security, and I get to be with our toddlers. And I feel like even though he's doing security, I feel like I'm on the battlefield, because let me tell you this, okay? We have sections that we go off into for 20 minutes time frame, and every 20, I think it's 20 minutes. I don't even know, so don't quote me for that. But it seems like it's like 20 minutes in each section. And I sit there and I do a countdown, like, okay, how much time do we have left? How much time we have left? And for the whole entire 20 minutes that I'm out in that battlefield, I'm like a soldier saying, okay, I'm done that 20-minute session. Now on to the next battle. Okay, I'm done that 20-minute session. Okay, this is how it feels all night long. You're security, but are you? Because I feel like that I'm the one I feel like I'm the soldier. Like, you're logistics and planning, and I'm like in the danger field.
So
with the landmine.
I picked the smart position.
No, you signed us up.
I mean, I did sign this up.
Yeah.
Like I said, I picked the smart position. I put you with the preschoolers.
I know. And normally I follow our kids anyway when they do VBS, but this is the first year that both toddlers are in. And Brian threw a little temper yesterday.
He did.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
No.
I heard about it. A lot.
Yeah, he did. And because one of the hard things about us playing two different roles is that I was there for the trauma. Okay. And I'm mortified. Mom's always so much more mortified than dad's. So when I called Brian onto the scene, I called for backup, like literally backup. Like, I had to call security on my own kids, right? And Brian was just like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that bad. And I'm like, you weren't there to see how bad it was. It was terrible. And he was kind of like, well, that's just what kids do. That's normal for kids. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it is normal for kids. And I'm just a little traumatized.
It was, I got a text message when I was, watching the kids on the big field, make sure nobody did anything silly. And I knew something was wrong. And then they get a phone call. She's like, I need you out here. Your child's insane. Pretty much the message is pretty much the phone call I got. So I made sure there was somebody else out there. And then I went and met, and we had to leave church 10 minutes early because our son was having a straight out hissy fit. It was just really bad. But
in his defense, though, he was absolutely exhausted because he has not been napping.
No.
And he surely needed that nap.
Yeah. And they say the terrible twos, but his twos weren't that bad. It's terrible fours. He is just a wrathful child, and we had to address it. He almost took off in the parking lot and almost ran in front of a car after we got him. She got him into the car. I was coming to the car at the time, and then on top of it off, after he freaked out in the church and drew on the wall and tried to break a table and a whole bunch of other stuff.
He didn't physically try to break the table, but he certainly verbalized
Oh
he
yeah,
was
he
going to
wanted
break
to.
the table and throw it.
He's like, I'm gonna attack people with it. I'm gonna take it and chop it up and beat everybody up with it.
No.
But yeah, kids are fun, aren't they? So you know what? It's the best. It's gonna be a memory
Yeah.
that we have for the rest of our lives. And
One day we'll laugh about it.
I'm laughing about it now.
Brian already wrote a song about it
I
and
did.
played it for me.
I had to
And
post it.
yeah, it's quite an interesting song.
Yeah, it's the thing is like about a lot of things in life is like you got to address them, you got to be serious about them in a
Mhm.
moment, but then you got to stop it for a minute and you got to kind of go back and laugh and just it's. I mean, that's the way I've always kind of dealt
Well,
with
I think
stress.
I think my primary coping mechanism sometimes is laughter. With some things, maybe more so when I was younger, of trying to get back to finding laughter in the midst of chaos. But in retrospect, I do have to say that I needed a minute. Like after last night, I needed a minute, and I sat with God for a minute, and I talked to Him. This morning when I woke up, I needed a minute, and I just prayed on it, and God answered. He answers. So later on in the day, when we were driving, I got a text from one of the ladies from church who wasn't there, whose son happened to be there, and I happened to be in the picture. The picture wasn't intended to be of me, but I happened to be in the picture with the kids, and I had a big smile on my face. And she said, "You look like you're having such a good time." So I needed that reminder that even though there was chaos that was sitting on my mind, there is a lot of moments of VBS that I absolutely have enjoyed.
And VBS has been really awesome. There's been a lot of kids there,
Mhm.
a lot of kids hearing about Jesus, which has just been super cool.
Yeah.
And it's been a great and exhausting week. Tonight it was just so we had that funeral and then we had a little boo boo. We had a family get hurt at the funeral, and then by the time we got home, it was just a long day. So we're home, we're here. We wanted to make sure we kept our commitment because it's very important this episode. As you know, well, before we get into it, I'm going to ask you. Share our podcast. We're on Spotify, Apple. We're on Facebook. We're on as much as we can be on. Get the word out. Share. We're trying to get our clicks, our follows up, so we hit that 500 number with Facebook. So please click subscribe, all that good stuff. Click those buttons. That being said, let's get into it. Every week we ask for viewer suggestions, and last week's episode was a viewer suggestion, and this week's wasn't really a suggestion. It was a anonymous, I guess, message or post on Riverside. It was a comment made to us, and it was done anonymously, which is fine. I wish I could have. And if you're watching this, and it is, and you feel comfortable, I would love for you to reach out to me directly. I'll keep it private. Reach out to me on my Facebook. But this person specifically asked a question, and I'm going to just. So we took some of the things out that could have been identifying, but tried to keep the letter as much to what the letter was, because I didn't want anybody to read it and be like, "Oh, I know who that person is." So I'm gonna read it. Before we do, we're gonna talk about resentment. So resentment is one of the quietest but most destructive forces in a marriage. It doesn't usually begin with like a major failure. It grows through unresolved hurt, unmet expectations, repeated disappointments, and a lack of forgiveness. And the gospel doesn't ignore these wounds, but it offers a path towards healing, forgiveness, and restoration. And I think, honestly, what we want to do is we want to just read the letter. So the letter says, "My wife and I have been watching your podcast for a while now, and it's honestly been such a blessing to our marriage. Thank you for being so real and always pointing everything back to God's word. I wanted to ask if you could leave out my personal information if you read this on the podcast. Since we're connected through the same community and there are a lot of people who know us, I'd rather stay anonymous. I'm writing because I don't know what to do anymore. Somewhere along the way, resentment crept into my heart. Every conversation seems to turn into frustration. And even being around my wife makes me want to be left alone. We've lost so much of the affection and intimacy we once had. I hate admitting that. I know this isn't how God intended marriage to be, but I don't know how to move past the hurt and anger. How do you forgive when the pain keeps coming back? How do you reconnect with someone you love but don't feel close to them anymore? Is there hope for a marriage when resentment has replaced affection?" What do you think stood out to you in the letter? Like, what was something that you heard in that letter?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say that we don't know who you are, but God does. So we are praying for you, and we are rooting you into your marriage, Aaron, and certainly don't ever feel shamed for reaching out. especially wanting help, the thing that stuck out to me the most was the big question. Can you move past resentment? Number one is the fact that you are looking to seek help tells me that there's absolutely still hope in your marriage because you want to fix it. Number two, absolutely, there's always a way to get over resentment, and certainly by listening tonight, we'll give you a lot of those answers on just how to do that. And as much as we would like to have that process happen overnight and wave a magic wand for you, it's going to take some work, effort, and time. But remember, the resentment didn't build up overnight. It didn't happen just from one night. Well, probably not. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I don't think resentment happens immediately. I think it's
Mhm.
a process, but we'll go into that a little bit later.
Yeah. So I think that you should just read through it. Just like when we are getting physically in shape, it takes us a lot longer to build up our health than it does for us to destroy our health. Like we could easily take a week off of eating healthy
Yeah,
and eat a bunch of
absolutely.
junk food
And
and
ruin
gain 5
yourself.
pounds,
Absolutely.
10 pounds in
It
1
take
week.
you a year.
Yeah.
It take a year to lose that weight.
And then another 2, and then how long does it take you to lose that
Oh, no.
over 10 pounds that you gained in 1 week?
Way more than a
Yeah.
week.
So it's certainly easier to destroy yourself than it is to build up in a positive way. So hang in there, hold on to your faith, hold on to your hope, and we'll give you lots of good ideas tonight.
Yeah, and I think the thing that stood out to me the most was the fact that it was a man. I said it was talking about his wife. So that to me was like personal, I guess, in a way, because like as a guy, like I want to try to connect myself into it as much as I can. But I guess the next question I want to ask, we're gonna ask some really direct, blunt questions, and some of these questions are probably gonna sound rude. Some of these questions are probably gonna sound hurtful, but I think they have to dive into it. So, do you think this person was being honest? Do you think what do you think about the statements that he made? Do you think he was being honest? What do you think of his?
I mean, I don't think that there was anything that there was no specifics enough that I think that they would be being dishonest with. I think you would have to have a more in-depth conversation to know if there was like dishonesty involved with that letter. Do I think that when there is resentment that people are being honest with themselves in areas of resentment? I don't always think that when somebody does feel that resentment that they are being honest with themselves in the situation at hand, that there is a lot to deep dive on, but with both parties.
Yeah, he's pouring out his heart to us, but sometimes your honesty might be someone else's dishonesty. So,
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
truth might be your mistruth. So, I guess that would lead into my next question: is how many couples do you think are solidly living the same story?
Oh yeah, I think it's more than what people admit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's where I think the dishonesty comes in. I think we're living this story, we're living this truth, but we're not sharing it with our spouse. We're hiding it from that person. So when we're hiding from the person we're living with, we're hiding that piece of us, which I think causes it to fester and causes it to grow even more.
Yeah.
And why is resentment something we hide? Why was it something? Why do we hide it? Why don't we? I mean, you're my wife. I'm your husband. Like, shouldn't we have an open marriage? Shouldn't we talk?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people wouldn't admit that they were resenting their spouse because I think that that creates like a battlefield almost. I mean, you're already kind of at a battlefield as it is. But I think sometimes the resentment stems from that, not being able to work through fights or work through conflict. So if you can't appropriately work through a conflict, there's going to be resentment. So how can you fix the resentment if you can't fix the conflict?
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I think most marriages don't end because love disappeared overnight. I don't think love disappears overnight, but I think they slowly drift apart because hurt wasn't dealt with. I think it's just something that it's something we just let fester. Like I said, fester. And like I said, we'll get into that tonight because the verse I picked for tonight, I think it's going to really kind of help sink that home. But the main idea tonight is resentment rarely starts with one huge event, right? It's rarely like one thing, right? It's rarely one thing. It's like, oh, now I resent you. Normally it's unmet expectations, right? You get into a marriage, you're expecting somebody to be a certain way, to do a certain thing, to be a certain way. Maybe, they treat you a certain way while they're dating, and then you get married and you're like, whoa, like you're not meeting my expectations of the person you're supposed to be.
Exactly. And I think setting realistic expectations, it's okay to have expectations, but you can't get mad at the person for who you think they should be rather than who they are.
Yeah, and it's true because we give a person a list like they better do this, 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 and this, and then when they don't meet that list, is it really them that's really failing in that moment? And maybe it is, or is it really the fact that you made a list that you never really told them about?
Yeah, right.
Right? Unresolved conflict. We talked about. I've talked about that for a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, go back and watch my analogy of the bricks. Every time you have an unresolved conflict, it's like leaving a brick down.
Yeah.
And you put another brick down, another unresolved conflict, and another brick down. And eventually, those bricks become a wall. It's easier to remove a brick than it is to remove a wall.
And I think by the time you get to the point where you feel resentment, is that possibly you've built that wall up so much that you have more than one wall now. Now you have a 4-wall cell, and you're in jail. Like you've actually imprisoned yourself so much. And
you built the wall was a prison.
Yeah, but when you have resentment that you can't let go, you are putting yourself in jail.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
You're chaining yourself up.
You made my analogy better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna steal that from you. So feeling unheard, that's a big thing in marriage. Is something I hear from a lot of people is, you're talking to somebody, you're like, I just, they don't hear me. I tell them and they don't hear me.
Yeah, I mean, and I like well, more so me sometimes than you. Like even last night when I was like mortified, Ryan's like, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, he's not hearing me. Like he might not think it's that big of a deal, but I was absolutely mortified in the moment. And I'm like, okay, hear my words, hear my thoughts. And, it's like, when two kids are playing in a sandbox together or playing make-believe together, you watch them and there's a couple different scenarios. Sometimes you have two kids that have totally two different make-believe stories up in their head, but they want to play together. And the one wants to role play their imagination and the other one wants to role play their imagination. And now they're fighting because it's not, no, I don't want you to be this, I want this and I want this. Or you can have two kids that are playing in a sandbox together who's going, that's a great idea. Let's make this dinosaur be a puppy instead of making this dinosaur being this big ferocious monster. Or, I'm trying to just throw out some similar analogies here. But
no, I get it. And I know I made you feel unheard last night because I was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. And you're like, no, I want you to hear me in this moment. And you were so important to you in the moment. And I do realize I made you feel and that's why I've let you tell me the story 30 times since then.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't even have to say anything back. There doesn't always have to be a resolution to somebody being heard. Sometimes somebody only needs to vent or needs to express their frustration. So, in that moment, and be honest with your partner. So in that moment, like last night when I was absolutely frustrated and it wasn't that big of a deal, I was like, I don't need you to tell me back, that it's not that big of a deal. I just need you to listen and say, well, and even if you don't know what to say or you think what you're saying is going to be comforting, so you try to make something up that sounds comforting, like, oh, it'll be okay. Which always sounds great and fine, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, somebody's like, it's going to be okay. Are you serious? Like right now, like that's what you have to say. So, and it's okay to be like, okay, I don't know what words to give you right now. So I'm just going to sit here and listen and say that and say, if you have to think about it a little bit as the listener and come back with a response, that's fine. But say that, say, I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure what kind of response to give right now, but I'm listening.
Right. And then you got repeated disappointment where maybe you're constantly asking for something. Take out the trash. We always use these silly ones. Take out the trash, put the toilet seat down. Like constant, just like I'm asking and you're disappointing. So you're like, yeah, toilet seat's down again. Like you get that constant, and then you become reassuring of yourself about how they're a failure to you. It's just a constant disappointment, right?
Yeah.
And then there's pride. Like, what about pride? Pride is one of the biggest things, right, in a marriage. It's like, I'm too good for, you puff yourself up to a point that you can't hear the other person. It's my toilet seat. I pay for it. It's my house. There's pride that comes into it. That can cause the other person to feel unheard, feel repeated disappointment. All this stuff
I
builds
want to
into
go
each
back
other.
to the people to read the book, Married
Mhm.
Couples, because what you were pointing out, taking out the trash, doing the dishes, this is actually a love language. This is called acts of service. So everybody has there are five primary love languages, and it's acts of service, doing things for your spouse. The second one would be like gift giving. The third one would be like words of affirmation. And then there's like two other ones. I'm not going to get into the whole spiel of it, but I would encourage you to read the book, especially if you are having resentment. And then within those five love languages, there are certain dialects that can be reached too. So like you could be the spouse that is doing the dishes, is taking out the trash, I guess you could say, and cleaning the house. But yet the other spouse is coming home and still having resentment because because that's not their love language. And all they really need is maybe flowers because their love language is gifts. So a lot of times in marriage, couples will say, you have two separate couples. One couple will say, the husband might say, I don't understand what my wife's gripe is. I take out the trash, I clean the toilet, I put the toilet seat down, and I do all these things, and it's still not good enough for her. You know why? Because that's not her love language. And there's only one simple thing that you can do that might only be one simple thing that you can do to fix it. And that would be go buy her flowers or go buy her a cookie or something like that.
And that comes
Yeah.
down to my last thought is lack of communication.
Yeah.
Lack of communication in marriage will build resentment all the time. Like you're saying, what if you just said, hey, my love language is gifts, or hey, why don't you just buy me some flowers once in a while? And then make sure she's heard. Don't forget, listen.
Or if your words of affirmation and you are that person who's cleaning the toilet and, cleaning the kitchen and doing all this stuff, maybe you just need your spouse to come in and say, hey, the house looks great. Where that's words of affirmation. You did a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you don't feel like some people might say, that's everybody's supposed to clean the toilet. That's just a part of keeping the house clean. Why do I have to give praise? Why do I have to say thank you for that? And you might think it's silly, but those little things can mean a lot to somebody else.
Yeah, and eventually little hurts become permanent attitudes.
Yeah.
Those little hurts will start to build permanent attitudes in you and permanent attitudes into your relationship. And I think that's where I want to get into the scripture, right? So Hebrews. So if you have your Bibles, look at Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. We read out of the NLT. NLT, NET are my favorite translations. I know I've said it before, but tonight we're going to be out of the NLT.
New King James Version, typically, but that's fine.
Look at you, so Baptistic.
Well, no, not King James, New King James.
Okay. Well, you're the new type of Baptist. I'm the old-fashioned Baptist.
I'm just saying, you said that we both read the NLT, and I don't know.
I read the NLT. Well, you've been reading with me lately. That's actually the church on my tablet.
Oh, yes. When I do look over your shoulder, because he had the nice big tablet.
I do. Well, my wife.
You take good notes.
Beautiful wife.
Yeah, and he takes such good notes too.
I know. I love taking notes.
Yeah.
And then anytime I have a question, I type in my question and then I go back in and go back later. Somebody was asking a question this week about poetry. That was kind of neat. So I got into that a little bit. But let's get back into this. So we had our squirrel moment. Squirrel. Look after each other. So Hebrews chapter 12, verse 15. Look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many. So the poisonous root, I love the scripture because there's so much to this, right? Why does scripture describe bitterness as a root? Why do you think?
Is it because the root grows from the ground up?
Well, I think so too.
The problem?
I think there's a few reasons.
What do you think? It's under the surface?
I think initially it's under the surface, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like number one, you don't see the root initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
It drops, it goes into the soil, it starts to grow, but you don't see that root. That root is starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And
it's what it anchors you.
Yeah, it's the anchor, and it's an anchor, right? That's another thing that's great. That's a really good point.
Yeah, if you don't have the root, you just have a blade of grass blown to the wind,
right? And then so you have this bitterness growing, and it's rooting. It's rooting, right? That's literally what the word root means. Before it sprouts. So here it is, getting bigger and bigger, getting more and more stable, getting locked in place, and then boom, it sprouts, right? So it's a really, like you said, God's awesome, right? So God's just so much smarter than we are. What an amazing analogy, right? That bitterness is a root, right? You don't see it, And then boom, there it is. So what happens? What do you happens when the root goes unnoticed? What do you think? Like, what do you think happens when the root goes unnoticed?
And everything from the root up starts to die.
So I think when the root goes unnoticed,
Mhm.
nothing happens. Like nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, nothing happens.
I'm thinking of
Because think about it, like,
too.
let's take an acorn, because in America we got acorns, right? Acorn drops, goes into the ground, or a seed. You put a seed down, that seed goes in and starts to make a root. Well, let's take a
You
piece
don't
of
see
dirt.
it growing underneath
What happens?
the surface.
Like nothing. Like to
Nothing,
you,
yeah.
nothing's happening, right?
But there's really a lot.
But to that ground, or let's take it as a person. So as a marriage, let's say, since this guy was a guy, let's say that I am bitterness and you did something and I take that bitterness and it's growing in me, but I don't show it to you. It's just growing in me. I'm getting so angry inside, but I don't act any different to you. What do you think? You think our marriage is still good? Think everything's fine? I'm not showing you any difference.
Yeah.
But inside, I'm growing this, and it's starting to anchor inside of me. It's getting more and more mad. But to you, things are great. Nothing's changed. We still have our great relationship. Nothing's changed. So I think the root goes unnoticed. For me, it's starting to take place. To you, nothing.
Yeah.
You don't even know. And how does bitterness, let's look at bitterness now. Like, how does bitterness affect your children, your friends, your church?
I think bitterness is kind of like a killjoy. Like it's, I think it strips you. If you're holding on to bitterness and resentment, it can certainly affect the way that you enjoy things, and it steals that from you. And I think your family and your friends are missing a part of you that could be better. Is that, for lack of better words?
Yeah, I think bitterness I think it becomes you. I think you become that very thing. That everything you look at is tied into that lens of bitterness. It's everything around you becomes destroyed. If you have the bitterness in you, it's going to affect your kids. It's going to affect your friends. It's going to affect your church. You're not going to want to go to church. Like you're not going to want to do any of that. It's going to take root in you. It's going to start to grow in you. It's going to start to come out of you. Which is, like I said, why it's such a great analogy. And have there been seasons where little offenses become big walls? So go back to the wall analogy. Has there been seasons in your life where little tiny things have become this giant wall or this giant plant? Let's talk about, instead of calling it a wall, it's called a plant tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I can't think of anything specific at this current time, but I think there have been things in everybody's life when looking back, you realize how little or small something was. But in that moment, it just seemed like a huge hurdle to overcome.
So there is a movie, I'm having a hard time thinking of the name of it, with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, and it's, Stepdads.
Stepdads? Yeah, stepdads. Yeah.
Is that what it's called? That's called something different. I forget what it's called. But either way, it's these two stepdads that are trying to raise these kids together and trying to do a good job. Mark Wahlberg's like this Secret Service or FBI, I don't know, he's some kind of like super kung fu guy, and Will Ferrell's like this nerd weirdo, but apparently could skateboard until he electrocutes himself. But they go on this family trip, right? And one of the scenes that I absolutely love, because it reminds me of my grandpa, is they're all in this cabin, and I think Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson, and the kid is messing with the thermostat, and they're all gathering around the thermostat, and they're like, "Don't touch the thermostat!" They're getting so angry. But there are like people, and there are literally, my grandpa, if you touch this thermostat, it was like World War III was all going off in that house. And like, I know it sounds so silly, but it's like little things like that can like build so much resentment in a marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up another good point that came to my mind, is that in that moment, talking about the movie, Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg initially were enemies, right?
Yes.
So it's important to remember that our spouse is not our enemy, and we are not in the battlefield with them, that they are a partner. Because if you are stuck on that thought that I have to defend myself against my partner, you're either going to be on the offense or the defense consistently. Once you start to realize your partner is your teammate and not your enemy, then you can look at things a little bit differently. And sometimes that's hard to do, especially when you feel like you had a war with them. But you have to retrain your mind a little bit and remind yourself, like, get out of that fight or flight mode. Because when you have resentment that's starting to build up, you want to do two things. Either want to fight the person or you want to flight. You want to get away from them. So
one of the big arguments we had when we first got married, when I put the toilet paper roll on the toilet paper, I like to hang the toilet paper so it's like hanging in the front and not on the back. I know it sounds so dumb, But like the toilet paper should be in the front of the toilet. Like when you put it on there, it's hanging in the front, not hanging in the back.
Hanging in the back.
So like you don't have to grab it and rub it against the wall. No, it's terrible. That's the wrong answer. It's the worst.
I gave up. I just put it on top now. I don't put it on the
I
roll
know she
at
doesn't
all.
even put it on the roll. She just puts it on
Just
top now, and I have to come in and do it the right way. So I had to come in at least it's on the right way after I go to the bathroom the first time because I'll take it off the top. And she doesn't even like take the old roll off. She just I could just let resentment build here, right? I could be like, how dare her this? I just take it off, throw the old one away,
let it go,
and put it on the right way. Same with the paper towels. We have a paper towel thing in our kitchen. I got to sometimes take the paper towel roll off.
It rips better when it's on the other way.
It is the worst. It is the worst. You gotta learn. Like, thankfully, all of our stuff's right in this house because I went back and fixed it. But either way, that's another argument that we got.
And that's the thing is like letting little things like that go. Like
yeah, I could let that eat me up.
Like the way
I could.
Like the way Brian does the dishes or laundry. You don't know how many times that I'm like, oh man. Especially in the beginning when I'm like, do I let this bother me, or is this not as important as?
Or do I enjoy the empty
Do I let it
sink?
go? So exactly. So it's like if I start to complain about the way that he does things, it's probably not going to want to help me anymore, right? And so I had to make the decision. Like, do I? So I got to the point where I would tell him once in a while, hey, look, this might be a better way of doing things sometimes, but not like so much that he wants to give up on helping.
Some of your advice, like we have these baby cups, sippy cups. They have these little plastic things, and I used to put them on the top rack. And she convinced me to put them on where the forks and knives go. You lift the lid up, and you stick them in there, and they do clean a lot better. And then chocolate milk. She also told me to rinse out the cups of chocolate milk before I put in the dishwasher, and I sometimes still do that.
Yeah. Well, it was more like when it was the bottles, but the cups are important too.
Yeah, the bottles are having a hard time. Yeah, getting in there.
But I had to physically show him like, look, it's not cleaning out right, and I would bring my finger down the inside and be like, after it was washed, and be like,
yeah, the cups weren't as bad.
Yeah,
but either way, like you taught me a little bit, and I do dishes a little bit differently now.
I wash the dishes before they go in the dishwasher.
She's like full on. I don't even know why we have a dishwasher, which is already washed.
Because in my mind, the dishwasher is more for sanitation.
But it's called a dishwasher.
Silence. You can hear it.
Oh, here's another one. What about when somebody's sighs? Like when your wife sighs or you sigh, and it has nothing to do with them. Nothing to do with them.
Oh, that gets me all the time.
What did I do? Why are you sighing at me? What's going on? I didn't do anything.
That tricks me every time.
It's like I was yawning. You're like, I know you have a problem with me right now.
Brian has a problem with sighing and talking to himself. And then I always think he's mumbling underneath his breath about me, and he probably is.
Probably. Probably is.
And I'm like, what? Like, what is the problem? Just say it.
Wrong again. But like, those aren't usually the real problem. Like these little things aren't usually the actual problem. The real problem is being growing underneath, right? The real problem is we let that root take, and we're just finding every little thing underneath. Like it's just going to help reinforce and to water and to give a little bit of fertilizer to and help grow that plant a little bit more, right? So that's the issue. It's these issues really aren't the issue. The issue is there's an underlying thing brewing in us. It's called bitterness, right?
And I think that tonight was showing you that we're not perfect, but it certainly takes a lot of grace.
I am, because I put toilet paper on.
It certainly takes a lot of grace and laughter.
It takes a lot of grace.
Yeah, a lot of grace.
When the toilet paper was still sitting on the top of the...
When somebody doesn't do the dishes the right way.
I know. Resentment. But either way, like, you have to laugh, too, at the same time. Like, when there's something about your spouse that bothers you, you have to laugh at it. Make fun of them for it. And, like, not in a way that's, like, me make fun of, but like this. Like, I'm making fun of her because she has no idea how to replace a toilet paper roll. And I have no idea how to wash dishes in the dishwasher. It's like, I'm sorry, but if the dishes come out dirty, the thing failed. It's just called a dishwasher. It doesn't matter if I put the cup upside down and if one of them water. Stupid thing should have washed it, right? It should have. No, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad. But
you are that bad. I'm just kidding.
I am not that bad. I am not that bad. You eat off the stuff that I wash. Remember that. So when hurt turns into bitterness, that's when things change, right? So when things hurt us, when things bother us, it turns into bitterness. And we're going to talk about how resentment changes our perspective, how resentment changes how we look at things, right? So instead of they forgot, like, oh, they forgot, we think they don't care. It changes from they forgot to they just don't care anymore, right? Instead of, they're tired. Maybe, they worked all day and they're tired. you think, man, they're selfish. They're selfish, bad word. So like they're just so bad. Like I can't stand it. And it's taking a false narrative and putting it to reinforce that seed, reinforce that root. So you're changing the situation to reinforce the thing that's growing inside of you.
Yeah, and the other thing is like when I talk about grace too and changing things, what is and you really have to change your mindset. You do have to change
You
your
do.
mindset. So, but think about how graceful we are to our children too, and how forgiving we all are of our children. It's not very often that we resent our children because we love them. And we would not want our children's spouse or to have that resentment that we have towards our spouse. And they are somebody's child as well. So think about all the grace that you give your child and give that same grace to your spouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's go into Ephesians now. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 26 to 27.
Mhm.
And don't sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down while you are still angry. For anger gives a foothold to the devil. I always found the beginning part of this kind of neat, right? It says, and don't sin by letting anger control you. But you notice what Paul says, right? Paul never says anger itself is sin. He never says, don't get angry for that as a sin. He says, and don't sin by letting anger control you. He's warning us to not let anger control us. He warns us against letting anger stay, letting it, grow and control. Same thing with, there's a lot of different things that do that, right? There's a lot of different vices that, we can, like, for instance, a pretty girl walks by as a guy, right? You have the option to, there's a pretty girl walks by, or you have the option to go, hey, look at that pretty girl. Like you have that option. And same thing with anger. You have the option to, hey, you're angry. There it is.
Yeah.
Or you have the option to go, oh, angry. I'm going to hold on to that. I'm going to, here I go. So what footholds does resentment create? Like, what do you think, like what footholds in your life does resentment actually like create in you?
Yeah, I mean, I think resentment definitely has a stronghold on people. And I think you get stuck in a cycle. You get stuck in like a cyclone and you can't break it. Like, so you have to find that one thing that's going to break the cycle.
Mm-hmm. What about like distance or like isolation? Do you think that I'm not gonna say who this is, but I watched resentment in this marriage of these people we knew, and as they became more and more resentful towards each other for some justifiable reasons, and they became more and more distant, more and more isolated. They didn't want to be around each other. They didn't want to be around the church. They didn't want to be around anybody. And here's the song. Let's talk about sex, baby. So
Well,
the intimacy when you are resentful, and just like this person said in the letter, right? Remember they said in the
Yeah.
letter, you can't be intimate with somebody you resent. You look at that person with disgust. How do you?
I think you have to bring it back to the basics again. Bring it back to the beginning. What did you do to impress that person? What did they do to impress you? Start dating that person again and do it with an open mind. Because what kind of energy would you put into finding a new boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse? Put that same energy back into your marriage. Like,
Well, before you even get into that, let's go back to their letter. They asked a question in the letter: how do you forgive when the pain keeps coming back? So before you go to the step of starting to heal, I think you have to address the question, like, how do you forgive when the pain keeps coming back?
okay, so I think number one is you have to pray on it. You have to change your mindset every day. You have to change your mindset. And little by little each day. So one of the things that I think that you should do is, like I said, wake up every day and pray. Ask the Lord to sit with you. Lord, Holy Spirit, Lord, sit with me today. I've been feeling resentful towards my spouse. I don't want to feel resentful. Please sit with me and walk me through the day so that I feel a little less resentful. Start thinking more positively. Start with maybe one thing a day. What did when you first wake up in the morning, what did your spouse do yesterday? Give one positive thought of what your spouse did the day before. Start changing the mindset. You have to start changing the mindset, I think.
Mm.
What do you think?
It's a hard one because I think, we look at Colossians chapter 3, right? Where it's talking about, remember the Lord forgave you, and so you must forgive others. So it also talks about making an allowance for each other's faults, right? Making an allowance, like almost like giving leeway or giving a little bit of room for others' faults and forgive anyone who offends you. And I think that let's say you have a legitimate issue with somebody. I think you need to realize that I'm going to go into this day, I'm going to go into this moment, giving them a little bit of an allowance, giving them a little bit of allowance for their faults. I'm gonna forgive them. I'm gonna forgive them for offending me, and I'm going to start from that point. I'm going to start from the point of actively forgiving them, even before they do it against me today, even before they forget that trash or they do that thing that hurts me so much today. I think we need to go into the day with the mindset of, I'm going to give a little bit of leeway. I'm going to give some forgiveness. I'm going to pre-forgive and try to start building from there. Because if you go into the day thinking, man, they're just going to screw up today and I'm just going to have to live in this day again, you're never going to be able to move into the next step. You got to give that little bit of forgiveness ahead of time. That way you can hopefully start growing toward, or start to grow back toward each other. So maybe that issue will one day be resolved. It's a hard thing to say because it's going to take you sacrificing it, right? It's going to take you having to put that initial foot forward.
Yeah. And I mean, when you're stuck in a cycle of anger or resentment and your thoughts are getting the best of you, number one, you can have that self inner monologue talk. If you have an inner monologue, I found out a couple years ago, some people don't. But if you do have an inner monologue, or however you would talk to somebody else, talk to yourself that way. Like, I'm thinking negative. I wouldn't want somebody else to think this way about me. Shut it down. Shut your own thought process down and be like, you know what? We're not doing this. We're not going to do this. Get productive. Distract your brain. Use a distraction technique. What needs to be productive? Does the deck need to be painted? Because I've been wanting to paint a deck for a while. Start a project. Whatever it may be, just, do I have laundry that I got to put in the washer? Get productive. Write your feelings out or write them down if you have to. That kind of puts you back into that moment. Read devotionals, read positive words of affirmation rather than negative words. Think about the funny times and the good moments you had together rather than the moments of anger. Yeah.
And I think we need to define what forgiveness is, right? So forgiveness, let's start with what forgiveness isn't. Forgiveness is not saying it didn't hurt. You can listen. Forgiveness is not saying, hey, that, you cheated on me. That hurt me. That is okay. Forgiveness isn't saying it didn't hurt. It's not ignoring sin, right? We don't ignore sin. We confront sin. It's also not becoming a doormat. It's not becoming a doormat.
Yeah.
It's not allowing someone to hit you. It's not allowing somebody to rape you. It's not allowing somebody to physically hurt you. This isn't those things. And it also isn't immediately restoring trust. Like, it's not just saying, hey, I forgive you, like our immediately trust is there, right? But what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is releasing revenge, right? You're releasing the idea that you deserve the right of vengeance.
Yeah.
It's giving that justice to God, saying, hey, God, it's on you. Right? It's refusing the bitterness. It's refusing to allow that root of bitterness to grow. And it's choosing obedience over emotions, right? Because that's what we have to do.
And sometimes holding on to grudges can actually prevent you from doing what God has intended you to do.
Absolutely. It affects your prayer life, affects a lot of different things. But we have to choose obedience over emotion, right? We have to choose, because it's so easy just to be angry and bitter and, just react in that moment. But obedience is saying, hey, God, it's all, I'm turning to you, right? That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're angry about something, you don't have to address the problem right away. You should talk about the problem, but you don't have to address it right away. So, and you shouldn't let it go, right? Let the emotions go and forgive it, right? But it's okay to address it. You don't have to, like I said, don't address it in the moment. Let your emotions settle. I would say let your emotions settle, even if it's going to take you a day or two. And sometimes that can boil us even more because we get stuck in that cycle and that thought process because we're like, I need to talk about this right now. I'm so mad about this. And then the more that you wait, the more that you get angry. But that's only temporary. That's why that's in that moment that you feel angry, because eventually you start to do something else and you forget about the anger. And you're like, was it that important? You let the time pass and now you feel better and you're like, and you look back and you reflect back and you're like, why did I get so angry about that? Was that even worth it that I even got that angry? Was it like, you understand? Like,
yeah. And let's get into my spirit animal. I call him a spirit animal. I know it's a joke. It's just a joke. Don't get offended. I don't believe in spirit animals. But I call Peter my spirit animal. And I think many Christians should, because he spends more time with his foot in his mouth than anything else. Actually, the pastor So the church we've been going to for about a year now, there's been 2 moments where I really was like, I like this guy a lot. The first time was when his wife walked in late. He made the comment, "Hey, hon, it's glad to see you join us," or something like that. It was very similar to that. And I was like, I've done that literally to her. I can tell you exactly. I was interim preaching at this church, and she came in. She was dealing with the babies. She walked in like 5 minutes late. I was like, "Oh, hon, it's so great to see you join us." She was like, "Seriously?" She hates I love when I preach. And if you ever see me preach, I love making fun of my wife.
Mm-hmm.
I love pointing her out, showing her off. She's my wife. She's my crown, right? Or my arm candy, as I put it.
Yeah.
And so I love doing it. So the pastor at our church does that a lot too. That's why one of the things I knew. And the second, he made a comment about Peter, how we're all like Peters. And I was like, man, I've always said that. We're all like Peters. But Peter a moron. No, he's not a moron. But he was just, he put his foot in this like I just did. Put my foot in my mouth, right? I love Peter. Like, I love Peter. And man, I wish we could all be like Paul, but we can't. Most of us are like Peter.
But even Paul at one point in time wasn't the perfect.
I mean, yeah, it was
perfect
just
guy.
murdered
Right.
people, straight up killing them.
Yeah.
But he found Jesus, and like, I found Jesus, but I'm still no Paul. Paul is a perfect.
I'm
still Peter.
Paul is a perfect example of somebody who died to himself.
Absolutely.
So,
like you said, I wish I could be a Paul. I wish I could be a Paul. But Peter comes up to Jesus, right? We've all heard this verse. It's in church so many times. But Lord, how often should we forgive somebody, right? Like that's the gist of the verse. And he says 7 times. Like he's like, 7 times. Look at me, 7 times. There's Peter being Peter. And Jesus turns to him and says, but 70 times 7, right? And what Jesus isn't giving him a number here, right? He's not giving him a number. I was like, Peter probably like, wait, what's that? He's probably trying to figure out the math in his head. But Jesus isn't giving a number. He's describing a lifestyle. He's saying like, this is how you have to live. You got to live this. And it's so awesome. And the letter asks the question too, and this is back to where I think we've lost so much affection. Can love come back? We've lost it. Can affection return?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think that that there's hope for you guys. And again, it goes back to finding a way to forgive, finding a way to date again, find that spark again, finding her love language, and her finding your language too. If there is certain things that you could feel more appreciated with, because maybe that's why you have resentment. Maybe she wasn't meeting your needs, and she might do a lot of things, but maybe she wasn't speaking to you in a way that she needs to be spoken, like you need to be spoken to. And I don't mean just verbally. So what is your love language? Find that out. What is her love language? Start working on that. And, I'm not a promoter for the book by any means, but I think it is certainly has a good knowledge base of love and understanding, and he is a Christian author. So that's always a plus.
And I'm going to say something here that's a little controversial. I think it's good advice though. Take it or leave it. But healing has to come before feelings, right?
Yeah.
Or you have to choose love before feeling love. And what I mean by that is don't think just because you're going to start trying tomorrow that everything's just going to come back. It's not. It's not. Just because you start trying tomorrow you're not going to feel intimacy. You're not going to feel desire. Hey, hopefully you do. I mean, that'd be great. Maybe, hey, prove me wrong, right?
Yeah.
But you're going to have to choose love before feeling it. You're going to have to choose healing before you start getting those feelings back. It's not going to be like, remember, this root isn't something that happens overnight.
Yeah.
This is something that's been festering. Just like weight loss, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can gain the weight real fast. I can build bitterness really quickly. It's going to take a long time to lose it. So you're going to have to choose. You're going to have to choose. And this is going to be on you. You got to choose it first. And if this is something you really want to fight for, and you better be, because this is your marriage, right? Satan wants this gone. He wants to destroy. He's praying, or that sounds the right word, but he's hoping, he's wanting, he's desiring those divorce papers.
And sometimes some people are just hard to bear. Sometimes, I don't know what the situation is. Why the resentment's there? We don't know. Maybe maybe you don't know. Are they being hard to live with? Is your spouse just not in a good place? So, sometimes our spouses will mirror us, and somebody has to be the first to make the change. And once you start to make those changes, maybe you'll start to see little subtle changes come from the other direction.
And I'm going to recommend a movie to you. It's an exceptional movie. It's called Fireproof. literally what we're talking about right now is there's resentment. He has a pornography issue. There's a lack of intimacy. All this stuff is in this movie. It's actually like almost identical to what we're talking about. He decides to, he finds Christ, gets saved, decides to put into his wife, and his wife's like, I've found this other man over here. Here's divorce papers. Let's get divorced. And he has to choose love, even though she's rejecting. So don't be surprised if you start showing hey, I'm going to fight for my marriage. Don't be surprised if she pushes back, because it's not something she's ready for. Right? And you don't give up either. Don't give up in the fight either.
I don't know if you guys are estranged already or you strangers to each other, but if you are strangers to each other at this point in time, get to know each other again. Just give a sense of belonging to each other again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking of somebody that I need to reach out to. Something you just said, but I'll talk about it later. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4-7. After each phrase, we're gonna bring it up. We're gonna talk about it, right? We're gonna talk about each phrase, and we're gonna say, is resentment doing this, or is it gonna be the opposite, right? So, like, are we living this, or are we doing the opposite of this? And if we're living this, hey, we're doing great. If we're doing the opposite, is resentment causing it, right? So 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4-7. So if you want to get to it real quick, get to it, pause the video, open your Bibles. And then the first one is, and this is the love is, right? So love is. So we're going to take out the love is, and we're going to work on the word patient. Are you being patient in your marriage, right? Mm-hmm. If you're not being patient in your marriage, is it because resentment is causing you not to be patient? Like, do you think that you can be patient with somebody you resent?
No.
No, I don't think so either. Like anything, you're like, I can't stand it. This person's doing it again. Like it's the literal opposite of it. Mm-hmm. I think when you resent somebody and you're bitter towards somebody, like you have no patience. Like it's the opposite of patience. You're just like, can't stand
every
it.
little thing is going to annoy you about them. The way that they talk, the way that they chew, the way that they walk, the way that they sit down. You're just going to be annoyed.
Everything's annoying. You're like, I can't stand it. I can't want it over. Like, get away from me.
And that's
like,
a hard place to be.
Patience is going to be the last thing on your mind, right? About kindness. When you're mad, when you're bitter and angry and just can't stand somebody, do you can be kind to them, you think?
No, you can feel it. You can feel it in yourself. It's hard to be kind.
You don't want to be kind. You want to be the opposite of kind, right?
Well, it's not even that you even want to purposely not be kind, but it's just naturally, you're just naturally unkind because you are sighing when they ask you to do things, or when you look at them, you are annoyed with them, or you are, it's just, naturally you just become unkind.
I'm about love isn't jealous. Like when you resent somebody, you hate to see them do well, right? Like you hate it. You become jealous of them. You become like, you're like, I can't believe, like people who get divorced or maybe move on, they're dating and they find somebody else. They're like, I can't believe that person's dating this person. And they're all happy. I'm posting on Facebook. Like people become very jealous with resentment, right? Resentment, like literally is like the opposite of that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we're getting where we're going, right? Yeah. And what about being proud? Like love isn't proud. You're not supposed to be proud. And you have to be prideful. You have to be proud to sit there and be resentful, because you have to puff yourself up to tear that person down. So I think you have to be proud, right? Love keeps no record of wrongs, right? Literally what resentment is, right?
Yeah, let it go. Don't even think about it anymore. However they wronged you in the past, leave it in the past. Even if it was 5 minutes ago, let it go.
Yeah, let that record go. Time to move on.
Yeah.
Love never gives up. Well, I mean, what's the first thing you want to do and resent? People resent each other. Like this letter says, like, feel like this, hey, it's over. It's over, done with. Like, you don't give up. Love does not give up. It never loses the faith, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't. You hold on to that. You hold on to the faith of, like I said, like even if the other person, you hold on to that faith of wanting to be successful in your marriage. Mm-hmm. It's always hopeful. Well, I mean, my wife is not going to put the toilet paper roll again. I know it. I'm not hopeful. I know it's silly, but you're not hopeful when you resent that person.
I may just do it one day just to see how
I'm going to fall over. So, but I know we do
Christmas
this.
Day, that'll be his present.
No. I know I use it as but you understand the point. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a silly analogy. It's a silly analogy that made me connect you to being what we're saying. And love endures. Mm-hmm. Like when you're resentful, eventually you get to the point where you don't want to endure. You want it over with. You're done with it. You want it over with. Like it's just done. It's done.
The other thing is be intentional with your words, because words have the tendency to destroy. or it can build you up. So be very intentional with the way that you talk to somebody and your actions towards somebody. If you are feeling resentful, your first reaction is going to be of disgust. But when you start to change that automated response with intent and thought, and you reel it back a little bit, then your reactions can be more thoughtful and less emotional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so let's start talking about ways to start healing, right?
Mhm.
I think the first thing I think we do this every week. We say it every week. I think the first thing you need to
Put
do,
God in the forefront,
put
right?
God in the forefront, right?
Yeah.
Put God as the priority in your relationship. It's the first thing you got to do.
Mhm.
Second thing you need to do is, and this is going to be hard. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel different. Pray together every day.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not asking you to go and sit together and do a 40-minute prayer. I'm asking you just 1 minute. Start
Mhm.
tomorrow. Start tonight. Listen, if you watch this podcast tonight, or actually this morning, it's going to be this morning, 12 in the morning for us. If you watch this right now, say, hey, honey, can we pray together just for a minute? It doesn't have to be a perfect prayer. It doesn't have to be a great prayer. Listen, I don't expect it to be anything amazing, but just give it 1 minute a day. 1 minute a day.
Yeah. And actually, I just had a song come to my head, and it's not a Christian song, but it is a song. If you like pina coladas, are getting caught in the rain. So when you became strangers, start asking each other questions again. What did you do this week? What do you like? Because if you guys have been together for a while, the things that she liked 5 years ago, she might not like now. Or she might still like, but maybe there was something that she didn't like 5 years ago that she likes now. And she might catch you guys might catch each other by surprise and be like, oh. So if you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain and you're not into yoga and you have half a brain, who knew? No, really listen to the song.
So I think another thing you can do besides the pina coladas is you need to say one thing you're thankful for. So pray together, sing the pina colada song, and then say something you're thankful for. Say just say, hey, honey, I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for that. All right. It doesn't have to be anything amazing either. Hey, thankfully you're such a good mom to our kids. I'm thankful you have such a good heart for our marriage. I'm thankful, whatever it needs to be. I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
Here's a hard one.
Oh, no sarcasm for
No,
24 hours.
yes,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, because sarcasm can really cause spoil
No
because
sarcasm.
yeah.
Nothing. And you have to ask the question, have I hurt you in a way that we've never talked about? So you think that you got it bad. What if they got it worse? What if the reason that your marriage is disconnected isn't because of, they've been acting away because you did something to them? Maybe they walked in on you doing something you shouldn't have done, or maybe they saw that text message, or maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just something that's building you. But maybe you need to start by asking a question: have I hurt you in a way we've never talked about? And then here's the hard part, especially for us men: shut up and listen. And I'm going to say it just like that: men, shut your mouth
And women too.
and listen. Women too.
Yeah, because that's hard for women
but
to do too.
men will try to jump in and fix it. Like
Yeah.
that's how we are. Well, like, oh, I did that, I'm going to try to fix it. No, it's not the time to fix. It's time to listen. So replace your criticism with curiosity.
Yeah.
So stop being critical and be curious. Like, okay. And instead of why would you do that, try help me understand. Like the saying, why did you do that? Help me understand. Help me understand like what I'm missing here. Like change your terminology, change your thinking. So let's do a rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Just like we did last week. This is something new we're going to do. I need to make a song for this part, like rapid fire questions. So I got to figure this part out. But either way, can resentment exist in Christian marriages?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. Can love exist without forgiveness?
No.
Now, I think if you don't forgive, you don't love. Just as Christ forgave, forgive. It's a commandment. Like you have to forgive, and you may love a person, but if you don't forgive that person, eventually that it's going to fall. It's going to fail. Right? What is the difference between forgiveness and trust?
You can forgive people. It doesn't mean that forgiveness, I think, is easier to do. Trust, I think, it takes time to rebuild.
Yes, I agree.
If there was trust that was broken, you can rebuild that trust. It's going to take a while. But also part of rebuilding that trust is forgiveness, because you can't let that distrust creep back in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If you are going to rebuild that trust and you're going to forgive, you honestly have to throw it out.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you're somebody that has been forgiven, try your darndest not to do that distrustful thing again, whatever it may have been.
Yeah, and forgiveness is, turning it over, giving it to God, and just, just forget, like, forgive me. You just, hey, you did this to me, but forgive it. And forgiveness, when you forgive somebody, I'll tell you, I know for a fact, it's a weight off of you. It's a burden off of you. But when it comes to trust, you have that, there's, levels of trust. There's some people that I trust enough to, invite in my house. There's some people I trust to let them have a key to my house. There's some people I trust to let them move into my house. And there's some people I trust that, if I'm going away for a month, I would let them live in my house. So like, there's different levels, but there's some people I would not even invite in my house. So I, be friends with them, but so there's different levels of trust. And the same thing in a relationship. When trust fails, you got to start with, hey, I don't really want you in my house right now. I love you, I care about you, but we got to get there. And then you progress through the steps. And if you're married to that person, hopefully that progression moves a little rapidly, but you got to still build that trust. You got to start moving it back up. You forgave, you don't hold on to that. You don't attack them with what they did, but you also slowly build that trust back into the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Should couples get counseling?
I absolutely think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's very important. If you're a Christian,
try to find a Christian
counselor or pastor. Counseling is super important. If you are the person that's watching this podcast and you're the person who wrote that and you want to meet with us, come over our house and have some food. We'll cook you food and just talk. Might be a little bit later. If you don't like having babies yell at you, if you're a late person like me, or if we need to get babysitters, we'll get babysitters. We'll go somewhere. We'll go for a walk. I love walking.
And it doesn't have to necessarily, a lot of churches offer, absolutely come to, you can come to us and we'll help counsel you. But a lot of churches too offer marriage counseling by the pastor and the wife. And so find a church that does that. If it's your church and you don't want your pastor or his wife to be involved with you because of embarrassment or shame, number one, don't be embarrassed and ashamed because they are absolutely rooting for you. But number two, go to a different church then that you don't know the pastor of, and they would be willing to help you too.
Or go to your pastor and say, listen, I need counseling.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a pastor who it's a very intimate thing, and I just don't want it to affect our relationship. I was wondering if you could refer me to somebody, or if you could point me to somebody else. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that either.
And pastors have a confidentiality too that they have to keep. So know that you can trust them. So if they're referring you to a pastor, then two pastors are not going to get together and converse about you. So there is a good sense of a confidentiality that they have to have. So know that you're safe. You should be safe with them.
I'm going to ask you this one, see if our answer, this will be our last one for the night. Can only one spouse start the healing process?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think a lot of times
I'm glad we got the same one.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times one spouse does start the healing process first. I don't think that rarely ever do two people start the healing process at the same time.
Yeah, I think the only way that actually would happen is if you sit down and you both mutually decide to start it.
Yeah.
If you sit down like, hey, our marriage is not good.
But it still takes the one person to initiate that conversation.
But it's still going to take the one person to start it. Right.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing, you gotta make that decision. Like so first thing I think you should do, like say, get it right with God, start praying together and say, hey, hon, we got a problem. And then it's going to be hard not to throw knives in that moment. It's going to be hard not to attack in that moment. And you better go into that. If you better get ready, because you might have them thrown at you. But if you really want your marriage to, if you really want to fight for that marriage, get ready to take a beating in that moment. Take it.
Yeah.
You got to start the healing process. So I want to remind everybody too, the enemy wants couples to believe resentment it wants you to think that this is a permanent thing and it'll never go away. But I want you to know that Jesus says hearts can change.
And pray on that. Ask him to soften your heart. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And marriages can heal. They can heal. Broken trust can be rebuilt. It takes time, but it can be rebuilt. Mm-hmm. And bitterness can be uprooted. It can be. God still restores what seems impossible. He will restore what seems impossible. Mm-hmm. And Colossians 3:14 says, above all, clothe yourselves in love, which binds us all together in perfect harmony, right? So before you go to bed tonight, hold your spouse's hand, give that 1 minute prayer, start with the 1 minute, right? And ask one question. Ask one question. Is there anything in your heart towards me that we've never talked about? And buckle up, because it might be coming. Then simply listen. Listen. Don't defend. Don't interrupt. Love.
Yeah.
Remember what did Jesus say when he was getting beat on the cross?
Forgive them for they don't know.
Father, forgive them. He was getting murdered.
Yeah.
Murdered.
And take
the beating. Just love that moment.
Be receptive. I mean, we're all aware of our own flaws, and be receptive to hearing what, especially for me, like your spouse, what do I need to change? What do I need to work on?
Mhm.
because we're here to build each other up and be better for each other. How can we make each other better if we don't work on our flaws?
Yeah, you're right. And I think we're going to close with this because I think this is my word of wisdom for the night. Resentment may have moved into your marriage, but it doesn't have to own the house. Jesus is still in the business of making all things new, and you got to remember that. You got to remember that Christ can heal all things. He can fix all wounds. It is possible if you put Christ at the center of your home. Anything else you want to put in there, hon?
We have hope in you, and we hope that you find that hope too. That's it.
We do. Follow up with us. Let us know how things go. Let us know if you're going to take any of our advice and do that minute prayer or anything. We're going to be praying for you this week, and we hope that we hear great things about your marriage. And hey, if you run into us this week, because you said we're in the same community, come up, give me a hug, and let's talk. Love you guys. And we'll hopefully see you next week. We're looking for topic suggestions. And before we forget too, we are going to start bringing in other people into our podcast. We're looking for a young man and woman who are not married, maybe even not dating, they want to talk about, hey, we want this in our future. We're looking for an engaged couple, younger engaged couple. We're looking for, actually, I think we found a younger married couple. I met them the other day. They're really awesome people. And I think they actually watch our podcast. So hi, you know who you are. They go to church with us. And we're looking for a younger couple that has kids, or maybe you're pregnant or you or just had kids. And then we're looking for a older couple, maybe older than us. So we're pretty old. So all your kids are grown or out of the house, somewhere's in that area. And we're going to start bringing them on, asking questions, having a little fun, joking around. And then eventually I would love to do like a round table where we're all together, all talking. So it'd be a lot of fun. Maybe we can do that live, which would be kind of cool.
And and we're not opposed to taking widows either.
Yes, that's another thing.
Men or women who have lost their spouses that want to talk about their spouse and what was successful in their marriage. I know that some people have been married for 50 years, 55 years. They lost their spouse, but they still have a lot of good advice to offer.
Yeah. So we look forward to it. And hey, we'll see you next week, right?
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later.
Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, but I think resentment's paying rent in this house. You folded towels. Wrong. You loaded the dishwasher. Wrong. You breathed a little too loud. Believe it or not. Wrong. Little hurts become big fights. Cold shoulders, long nights. Keeping score won't get us far. Jesus heals the broken heart. So if you've ever thought, why's everything they do annoy me? Pull up a chair, we've all been there, and God's not finished with your story. Maybe it's not the dishes, maybe it's not the laundry, maybe it's years of hurt disguised as dirty socks. So before you start another argument or write a mental list of everything your spouse did wrong since 2018, let's talk about it. Welcome to Honey, I don't know how to tell you this, with Pastor Brian and Kathleen, where we tackle real marriage, share a few laughs, and let God's word do the heavy